travel day. We are leaving Yukon Trails. Encore.
Behind you, I'm all good.
Okay. Leaving Yukon Trails. I don't know if it's an Encore Park. I know it's part of the 1,000 Trails collection, but I'm not 100% sure if it's an Encore Park or not. But anyway, we're leaving here. We're heading to the UP finally. We're gonna stop at a Harvest Host tonight. It's called Sweet Spigot. It's a maple syrup farm. So that should be pretty cool. Hopefully we can get some maple syrup. And then tomorrow we'll be heading to our first state park in the UP. Harvest Host, we are now Harvest Host affiliates. So if you've ever considered purchasing a Harvest Host membership or any of the other memberships that go along with Harvest Host, we've got some discount codes for you. We'll put the links in the description of this video. All right, just got to our Harvest Host. This is pretty nice. Very woodsy, big, huge field to park in. According to the profile on the Harvest Host, they only got 2 spots, but boy, you could get a ton of RVs in here. Check it out. Axle approved. Is this axle approved? Yep, axle approved. Coming down the long driveway, there's a ton of trees, but they've pruned them back high enough to where we didn't have any issues. We may have scraped a couple leaves, but that's it. No limbs or anything, so we do appreciate that. Ooh, all right, it's the next morning. We slept great last night. Nice and peaceful and quiet out here, but now they're gonna go give us a tour of this cool maple syrup farm. All right, I got my man Dustin here. He's gonna explain this spider web of stuff that's going on behind me here, because I'm looking at it. I'm an Iowa farm boy from Alaska. Figure that one out. That's where I originally grew up, was Iowa. So we're not used to the maple syrup tree stuff, so this is all new to us. So he's gonna explain it to us dummies.
We're in Michigan, Upper Peninsula of Michigan. So if you go above Lake Michigan, you'll find us up here by the border of...
I was gonna say, you guys do like an arm-hand thing, right?
We do.
Like...
So the paw like this for Lower Michigan, and we got like this...
yeah, there you go.
We're up here in the Upper Peninsula.
Perfect, perfect.
Which is really neat for this area is we have a high density of sugar maples. So if you look around, probably anywhere in the States, we have the highest capita of actual sugar maples per like our land. So it really makes it nice for maple syrup.
So I think it was your dad that told me you guys got like 10,000 trees or something like that.
Here we have close to, I said, like right here on the property, I'd say we're close to 7,000.
Okay.
But there's a few other properties that we reach out and tap that local farmers will also bring their sap here to us.
Wow.
And it around 10, maybe we can get up to around 15,000.
Wow.
So, and we're considered small. If you go up into Canada, they can have anywhere from like 50 to 100,000.
Holy moly.
Taps.
So explain this system. Is this what most people use? Is this kind of thing?
Any of your big operations, you used to be able to do everything by buckets.
Yeah.
But after a while, that will wear you out.
I bet.
So this is what we do all converted to is like a pipeline system. So if you see like all these little pipelines are actually strung to each tree. And you can have anywhere between 1 to 2 taps per tree. You need to notice that in the spring, we'll come and you'll take your tap and you'll actually drill a hole, a brand new hole each year in your tree.
Oh,
and this is what actually goes into your tree. And then when the tree starts to warm up, it'll actually cause the sap to be pushed up and down your tree.
So do you have like a special drill bit that you use to drill the hole?
We do. It's a 5/16 drill bit.
Okay.
Perfectly fits this hole. We run on a vacuum system. So everything has to be almost like a vacuum locked in order to help pull the sap all the way through the woods back to the barn or back to the evaporator shed.
So you guys drill a new hole in every single tree every spring?
We do.
Holy cow. That's a lot of holes.
It does. It keeps a lot of walking, but it's because each time you drill a hole, that part of the tree actually sort of dies.
Oh,
it won't actually produce sap anymore. So you have to keep moving around the tree.
Makes sense.
But neat thing about maples are they're very hardy, very tough. You can actually, these trees have been tapped, some of these older ones, you see the bigger ones, my great aunt tapped them over 100 years ago.
Holy cow.
Once in a while you'll actually go through and you can find the old taps that they've used.
Really?
Still in the tree.
Still in there, and the tree kind of grows right around it. Yeah.
And we continue. So they're very hardy, and they don't seem to mind as long as we don't drill them too many times and not too deep.
Okay.
The tree heals very well. So that's a neat thing about the maples.
So what makes the syrup, I guess, start running?
So there's a few trains of thoughts. Why it's such a unique time of year is the tree has to freeze.
Okay.
When it freezes and it warms up, that sugar in the tree will actually start to expand, causing a little bit of like a pressure difference.
Oh,
it's that pressure difference in order that causes the sap to be pushed up or pushed out of the tree.
Okay.
So you need that warming, cooling. Now, if like during the middle of the season, if it doesn't freeze at night, that tree won't actually push any sap the next day.
Okay.
So your days have to be above freezing, and the nights have to be below freezing, and that's what causes that heating, cooling effect, that pressure to cause it to push your sap out.
That's amazing.
So it's a very narrow window. Like farming, you do it all year.
Yeah.
My trees only get maybe a month and a half of actual farming.
And it's mostly in the springtime.
Mostly in the springtime. They do some fall.
Yeah.
I've never tried it.
You guys just don't even try.
I've heard mixed things, but you can do it in the fall for a short period of time.
Okay.
They actually have tried that.
So like on an average spring harvest season, how many, I don't know, do you guys do it by gallons? Like how many gallons of syrup can you get?
For gallons of syrup, I would say we're close to this. Last year we did around 3,000 gallons of syrup. I think we were close to 3,100.
Wow.
And that was one of our better seasons. Some of our local people, they can get up to 4,000-5,000 gallons.
That's awesome. So once you harvest it from here, then we got another section to go through, right?
It follows these little green lines. These are 3/4 inch lines, and this is where everything filters down into what we call the main lines, and that kind of like is the veins of the system that brings it in.
Okay.
And then it comes into what we call the big conductor lines. These are what reaches all the way back. It's like the artery of the system. This is where everything dumps into.
Okay.
We run a 2-line system. So this top is what we call the vacuum line. Just for the fact that we're so flat here.
No much gravity.
No gravity at all, actually. I'll say we go about almost 3/4 of a mile in the back. In order to get this sap here, I have to run a second line for vacuum. It's like a straw effect. If you ever put your hand on top of a straw and you try to suck, you can't.
All right.
This prevents that from happening.
Okay.
So your actual sap will flow in the bottom one, and this will provide the vacuum.
Gotcha. I didn't realize there was so much to maple syrup harvesting.
I didn't either,
like you always just think, well, just someone goes in, screws a tap on a tree, and puts a bucket under it, like you said earlier. But yeah, this is pretty cool.
When we started, my mom and dad, they made us do. We had 5,000 buckets when we first started, and she made us pick them every day. But that's when we were young and full of energy.
All right, so this is called the evaporator room. This is where all the syrup goes to, I guess?
This is where all of our sap comes into.
Okay.
So it actually pipes under the ground. Excuse our mess.
No worries.
And it comes right here into what we call the extractor. This extractor goes in there about almost 6 feet into the ground.
Oh, okay.
In order to need this extractor, because since everything's under vacuum, if it comes straight into your storage tanks, it would collapse our storage tanks. So the extractor allows us to collect under vacuum and then transfer it over into our storage tanks without having to lose in our vacuum.
Perfect.
So that all has to come into here. Then, since there's so much sap, in order for keeping us to have to run this thing constantly, we could run about 90 gallons of syrup an hour on the evaporator, which I'll show in a second.
Okay.
But instead of wasting all that fuel, what we'll actually send it through first is what we call the reverse osmosis.
Oh, that's right here.
That's this machine right here.
Okay.
It's piped over. And this reverse osmosis allows us to take about 14% of the water, or 14% of the sugar off. Before we even evaporate it.
Okay.
So it takes a lot of that water out, so we don't have to spend so much time boiling that water out. It gives us a little jump start.
Okay. Gotcha.
It helps a lot. I could probably boil 4.5 hours without this. This will cut that time down to an hour or about 45 minutes.
It really is a lot more efficient then.
Much more efficient. So this has helped us a lot. especially with how much sap that we bring in.
Okay.
Now, after that's done, then the concentrate, that 14% sugar, is then piped over. It is brought over to our evaporator.
That thing is huge.
We purchased a little while ago. When we moved into pipeline, we had to jump up to the bigger system. This particular system could handle close to about 50,000 taps.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a little bit bigger than when we're set up right now, but it allows us to grow.
Yeah.
This is where it's piped down, and what's neat about this system is once you start evaporating your syrup,
that's cool,
or your water off your syrup, you want to constantly keep bringing sap in at a rate where you're bringing your syrup off, so you're not always kind of constantly filling and cooling. So the neat about this system is instead of just dumping cold sap in there, it'll actually have a preheater where your sap will come in and it runs on top. If you see these pipes up here, it runs up and down those pipes on top and preheats your syrup. So when you actually dump it into your evaporator pan down below, it's close to the same temperature.
Oh wow! That's cool.
So, and that helps pull off your sap and your sugar or your syrup at a very much steady rate.
Okay. Everything's so clean. You guys must have to clean the heck out of this stuff after harvest season.
If you know, like, what is like bacteria and stuff love? Sugar.
Yeah.
So you have to, each year you have to wipe everything, disinfect it, and make sure that there's no sugar residue left over, or you can you'll see what happens if you don't.
Everything is attracted to it.
Oh my goodness, yes. But yeah, then it runs through here into what we call your finishing pans.
Oh.
And it runs like a snake through there.
Oh, it's like a big tub kind of, huh? Cool.
And this is where, like, Papa Doug, he's my father, he's the cook chef. You can start to tailor how dark or how light your syrup is by how deep you run your sap through here.
Oh.
Some people like darker syrup, so you like boil the syrup a little longer, or you can like lighter. So that's where this comes in. You can really tailor how you like your syrup. And then at your temperature, around 218 degrees Fahrenheit is when it draws off as our syrup, which is a touch above syrup. We like it a little watery, because then you can bring it over here, and our little finishing pan over there is where it'll run off to where you can boil it to the exact kind of syrup you want.
Okay. So do you sell like different types of syrup then, based off temperature and darkness and all that kind of stuff?
We do. You have your lighter amber, more of a non-maple taste to it. It's like a vanilla almost.
Okay.
And then later in the season, you'll get the darker, richer maple flavor.
Oh, so it kind of changes.
It does as the
harvest season goes on. Okay.
And that's one thing that's part of the cooking process, is your region will give you a different taste. You know, you can try our syrup from here and then go over to New York and it'll actually have different flavors.
Huh.
I'll let Mama talk about the different grades.
Yeah, so you can really see the different colors.
Right, the lighter grade is what shows up the first of the year, and then the darker grade is later in the season.
Cool.
And has a stronger taste.
So the darker grade has a stronger taste?
Correct.
Oh, okay. Cool.
I'll call it more of your maple flavor.
Right.
It's more robust.
Right.
It's not really bitter or sweeter. It's more of the stronger maple versus more of the less maple, more of a vanilla.
Kind of like a coffee. You got your stronger coffee,
yeah.
your lighter coffees.
Right.
The lighter.
This is how I like my coffee. A little bit of creamer. I mean, a little bit of coffee with my creamer.
That's right.
This is how Jason likes it.
And this is good for your pancakes, your ice cream.
Ooh, yeah.
This is what a lot of people use in cooking because it has a stronger taste. You don't have to use as much syrup when you use it for cooking.
Ah, okay.
It's better also if you want to use it for coffee, because you don't have to use very much of it. This you have to use a lot to get it sweet, and this you use just a little bit and it
I
sweetens
never
it
thought to
quick.
put it in my coffee.
Oh,
Yeah.
careful, because once you start putting your coffee, it's hard to go to the yeah.
All right, so the few folks that are watching this video, they want to buy syrup from you. How can they buy syrup from you? Like, where do they go?
We have a website, Sweet Spigot. maple syrup out of Kearney, Michigan.
All right, and I'll put that link in the description of this video so you guys can go check them out. And can you buy it in any local stores and stuff too here? Or?
In local stores in Escanaba, we have it at Mel's Lawn and Garden, Healthway, and then we also have it at the Island Resort and Casino Golf gift shop.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
All right.
But it's interesting. It's been nice. It's family owned. If you see here, my little sister, she does all of our designing.
Oh.
So she did all of our label designing. She does all of our websites.
Cool.
So it's been nice to have different parts of the family.
Yeah.
She's a graphic designer. I was a biochemist, so I get it.
Nice.
Yeah.
You love the science part.
I love getting into the science and learning about it. My dad's the contractor, so he did all the building. So it's been much of like a family built business, and it's lots of fun. Lots of work, but lots of fun.
Wow. Well, and this particular property is not only just maple syrup, right? You guys do like wedding venues and that kind of stuff as well?
That's my mother. She's an interior designer and coordinator, so she does all the weddings. And
Our son got married here a few years ago, and we just kept it going and
Nice.
have a barn wedding venue.
Yeah.
Sweet Maple Farm.
Sweet Maple Farms. That's awesome. Well, hey, we sure appreciate you guys showing us around and welcoming us into your property here. This is amazing.
It is.
We learned a lot today too.
Yeah.
Well, let's go see the retail part.
Yeah, let's go get some syrup. Yeah. So these are all your different kind of products then you got. Wow, that's a bunch. All right, so this is a special little something, right?
this is what we call the maple cream.
Ooh.
If you have to say like the high end of our product, the special corner. It's actually maple syrup that's been like cooked down a little further and then whipped into almost like a butter like
Really?
It's super great on fruit or salty crackers.
That sounds
Is this what you
delicious.
put in your coffee?
I never put it in coffee.
Or do you just put the regular liquid in?
The regular liquid in
Okay.
coffee. You can tell. You look over there. There's all of our. It's so much maple syrup.
I love it.
Yeah, I think they might like their syrup and their coffee a little bit.
But the cream is good on, like, if you like the salt and sweet Ritz crackers or pretzels
Okay.
on the fruit. Oh, to die for on strawberries or apples.
Oh, yeah.